Christmas is coming. Global economies are a mess, and the last 2.5 years have been absolutely bananas. And some of us, through no fault of our own, have failed the stress test. That's the only way I can explain this.
The last category here is $750 plus. It's pretty simple. So obviously there's some stuff like 3080 Ti's, and there's still some 3090s, 3090 Ti's out there. And even a grand now it's a little too close to the 4080, irrespective of its untenable price, to feel okay buying at this point. It's just that 4080 price point just makes kind of everything feel pretty bad right now on the NVIDIA front of things.
I honestly can't come up with any other reason that a reviewer as respected and principled as Steve would take this stance. He's so attached to his and everyone else's initial claim that both of the 4080s were wildly overpriced that in the face of an analysis that would give him no choice but to recommend it over the 3080 Ti, 3090, and 3090 Ti, he punts.
That's gonna be it for that part of the list. That section, 750 plus, it's really honestly, our answer to that, if you're buying 750 plus, is probably, if you can, just wait. No guarantee you get a 7000 series card, of course, but they will probably affect opinion and price positioning of some of the stuff in this category.
He and others have invested a lot of time, and more than that, credibility, into trashing the 4080 12GB in general and the 16GB on pricing. Even after reviewing the now official 4080, the consensus has been that it works great, it's just way overpriced, so don't buy it. Wait for RDNA 3, that's the take, and they're sticking to it. Many have ecstatically reported that 4080s were languishing on shelves and not moving on eBay. It was a victory, but like the victory over the 4080 12GB, events have been wildly misinterpreted. As I've said repeatedly, the only thing we know is true after NVIDIA canned the 4080 12GB is that there wouldn't be a next-gen card available under $1,000 for quite some time. We'll get one on December 13th in the form of the AMD RX 7900 XT, and in spite of the elation from the community at its reveal, it doesn't look like it's going to be any better on price to performance than the smaller 4080. Look, it's not bad advice to wait for benchmarks on the RX 7900s. They're less than 2 weeks away, and it won't hurt to know how they perform. Unless, of course, you wait, they underwhelm, and the available 4080s disappear because it's suddenly a better value at $1,200 than AMD can crank out at $900 or $1,000. And worse, we might find out that the 12GB was actually a decent comparative value. If that happens, a lot of people are going to have to explain why they bullied NVIDIA into pulling a product that would have actually made sense for a lot of people, while praising AMD for giving us something almost identical for the same price. If it comes to that, it will be an uncomfortable day for everyone. Which brings us to the Gamers Nexus Best and Worst GPUs of 2022 video. In building a list of recommendations from the top to the bottom of the market, he had to confront the fact that people still want high-end GPUs and they're buying 3080 Ti's, 3090s, and 3090 Ti's. When analyzing that part of the market, you see this. The 3080 Ti and 3090 are moving at between $800 and $900 in the used market. There is no way to recommend a used 3090, even at $800, without admitting that the 4080 12GB, which would have been released 2 weeks ago, would have been a good buy at $900. And then you'd have to acknowledge that it would have forced the prices for the 3 top-end Ampere GPUs all below $900 new and probably $800 used, which would have also forced down the 3080 and most likely the 3070. If you're not picking up what I'm putting down, let me say it clearly. All NVIDIA GPUs are more expensive because you bullied them out of releasing the 4080 12GB, some by hundreds of dollars. That's real. And in exchange, we'll get a 4070 Ti with slightly cut down specs and a lower TDP for probably $750 to $800. This is an L, and no one wants to own it. Fortunately, I don't have to. This has always been really simple, and I don't understand why the community has refused to accept the reality of the situation. Both AMD and NVIDIA have a bunch of last-gen stock sitting on shelves and in warehouses. NVIDIA has so many GA102 dies lying around, the ones used for the 3080, that they're repurposing them to make 3070 Ti so they can get them out of inventory. AMD is allowing retailers to go to town on prices like a mattress store on a holiday weekend. Neither is going to bring a product to market that will compete with their existing stock until it is nearly sold through. We can see that in this move on the 3070 Ti. Now that the 4070 Ti is set to release in January, NVIDIA is going to move away from 3080 production. This is why both companies came to market with the high-end first and at prices that largely don't affect their flagships. Actually, NVIDIA was willing to drive down the price of the 3090 and 3090 Ti by releasing the 4080 12GB below their current market prices. I wonder if they're glad they unlaunched. Like, maybe they feel like the community did them a favor because they got 2 extra months to move existing enthusiast cards before launching their performance competitor. Look, none of us like high prices. We all love things to be cheaper. So here's a super secret plan to bring down GPU prices. Don't buy them. Like any of them, at least not new. Buy used ones. Get one of those old mining cards and ride it into the sunset. If half the market skips out on this generation for the next 6 months and instead buys used last-gen hardware, prices will come down, or they'll release super variants like they did with Turing, because that's how markets work. But if we know anything, we know patience is in incredibly short supply, and most gamers feel like they deserve new tech at bargain prices. So we're in for a total show. At least it'll be fun. Soon we'll get to see if any more of my predictions will come true. So far, we've seen that A, people would have happily bought a 4080 12GB rather than a used 3090 for basically the same price, and B, the 4080 16GB is not actually overpriced, as it has quietly started selling out even at those brick and mortars like Micro Center. Will the 7900 XTX compete with the 4080 on both raster and ray tracing, or will it show performance that explains the $200 price difference? Will the 7900 XT show impressive performance, or will it match the 4080 12GB and embarrass everyone who cheered it as a great flagship value? Will Nvidia release a 4080 SE, or just rename it the 4070 Ti? It's going to be an exciting month. Let me know how you feel in the comments, and thanks for watching.